the sections of the laws and what they refer to. Because with that, like each law at a time or something like that in the Constitution, if people had that as a reference, then it is quick for them to go and read through, and this is the best way to help people educate themselves.
Yep, and this will be discussed by that committee, so we will be asking for volunteers in that sense. Yes, the lady up the back.
Yes, my name's Roshan. I've been to a few of these meetings, not terribly many, but I went along on the 15th to the first Occupy Melbourne. I don't know if people are aware about the Occupy Wall Street. They're actually occupying over 1,000 cities in America at the moment. They want to get rid of the Federal Reserve. They want everything, the banks and division between government and corporations. So these young people that are in there, and they're not just young people, it's people of all ages, what they're saying is they know there's something wrong. They know that they've been thrown into this because it was going to be, on the 15th, it was going to be a worldwide occupation, so they only had like a week and a half to prepare. They had no idea what they were going into, and they really need support. And there's so many of them that would be just jumping at this. It would be the best thing, and it's only going to get bigger. Once people get laid off in their jobs and jobs are being outsourced overseas, and people, at the moment, the Australian people have no idea how important this is, because they're out there getting, hit around and bashed by this, what's his name, Robert Doyle, and this is what's happening to them. They're standing there for every single one of us, and they don't even know half of this. They would just be jumping at it. It's really, really important. And I've got context for the people who are involved. I mean, Robert Doyle was saying on the radio yesterday morning, he was saying, I'm really concerned about the Aboriginal people that were there. Well, they were presenting themselves. And I'm really concerned about the homeless people. Well, they were feeding those people. This is what's going on there. It's just not a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing. These are people that, well, they don't have the law behind them. They're really desperate. And it's going to be bigger. It will get bigger and bigger.
Well, in fact, I'm investigating at the moment a new bank that is starting up in England. Sorry?
Could you speak up a little, please?
And my voice is suffering. I'm investigating at the moment a new bank that is starting up in England.
The lawful bank.
Yeah, and they are trying to use the Federal Reserve or the reserve currency system in favour of the depositors instead of the bank.
Yes.
So they're trying to encourage people to deposit money with this particular bank, bring the reserve notes into this bank, and they will leverage it up in your favour. So that way, because we've been stuck in this reserve note system for so long, we've lost sight of the commodity-based monetary system that we are supposed to have by law. So they have answered this by bringing the reserve system note into our use rather than banks. Makes sense.
Gerald, is that the one Roger Hayes is promoting on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll wait and see, but if it does take effect, then we'll certainly get some interest here in Australia. They don't want to get rid of the other banks. They want them to compete with this system.
You see, the Muslims have got their own bank in this country now?
Yeah.
No interest.
Yeah.
Really? No interest.
Yeah.
No, that's against Islamic law, yeah. One's against Christian law too.
Sorry, look, there's just one more thing I need to tell everybody.
It's on the net. I don't know. I'm not up to date with
The Vatican has just announced, I've got any information if you want it, it's just announced that they're calling for a one world government.
Yeah.
So,
And this carbon tax is also, Gillard was announcing that she's encouraging the other Commonwealth nations to bring this carbon tax in. Now the carbon tax, when you read the legislation, and there's just under 1,000 pages devoted to the carbon tax. In the carbon tax, they're devoting, I think, around about, they're expecting $65 billion a year to go overseas to fund this one world order. Okay, so it's just a smoke and mirrors effect that they're using.
This is the truth.
Now, I wrote to the commission that the Gillard had set up with regarding the carbon tax, and I said, as far as my interpretation of Section 51 of the Commonwealth Constitution, there is no allowance for the federal government to bring about any legislation regarding the environment. Regarding the environment. So if there's no ability for the Commonwealth to bring about legislation regarding the environment, then how can the states? And how can any of that happen without a referendum?
This is the problem when you've got lawyers as Prime Minister. We had a lawyer in Howard. We got a gentleman who was not a lawyer for a little while, and then we got Gillard, who used to be a partner in Slater and Gordon. Yeah. So you've got a real problem with lawyers in this country, and as you heard earlier, yeah, that's right.
Around the world is because I think it's part of their plan to bring that unrest so they can get it all around the world, then they can come down hard and with emergency powers and control it. And that's the
Problem, reaction, solution.
That's right.
So we've got to be careful how we do it. We've got to outsmart them in that way and prolong their, don't get me confused, even though we've got to do all kinds of things. Strategies are go to the streets, go to the legal channels, what we have, in our own rights.
They're already implementing this in the councils.
Yeah.
I was in a council and he was
It's got to come back to the basics. Now, there was a gentleman who taught us the basics.
and I have to pay for them. I said, but I'm not cutting it. They said, well, regardless, man. I said, what are you talking about? And he's talking about carbon tax. They're already working hard on it. I think end date is very soon.
Well, look, I've got some news for you. The good Lord decided that the deserts of Western Australia would be a great carbon sink. So he's ordered up a whole heap of rain, and it's nearly sending the mining companies broke because they're not used to working with rain. So it's look, you've got no idea how green and beautiful the deserts of Western Australia are at the moment. The wildflowers everywhere, trees growing like you haven't seen them. They haven't seen them grow for years, and there's
trees won't grow without carbon.
Well, that's exactly right. Nor can we live without carbon. Anyway, it's we normally close about 9:30. We've got to get overtime. So unless we've got something really important, Mr. O'Brien's voice is nearly gone, which is always a blessing. No, I'm only joking. Okay.
Further to my research from the last meeting.
All right, yeah, this will be the last item, okay?
This is the last item.
Perhaps.
Sure.
Order. Public Service Act, please. Cool.
Public Records Act.
Public Records Act. The filing of affidavits.
Yep.
Any court documents. One of the traps that I've experienced the other day in the Ringwood Court, you present a piece of paper which may be your affidavit or your statutory declaration or your notice of defence, and they just take one quick look at it and go, no, I'm not interested in that. And I've had magistrates say to me, I'm not interested in any affidavits. I rely on your oral submission. Okay. The rules of the court are different. The rules of the court allow you to bring about a defence, a written defence, and the court has to deal with that. How do we make the courts deal with this? Okay, if you read on the board, we've got Section 7 of what's called the Public Records Act 1973, Victoria. The responsibility of the keeper of public records. Now, there's a public records office. Okay. So we go to subsection D authentication of copies of and extracts from public records required as evidence in legal proceedings or for other purposes. So, what I'm proposing is before any of us actually go into court, in the magistrate's court, you've got a 7-day period to submit a notice of defence. Then you put down all of these awkward points of law that we learn in this place, and you submit it into the Public Records Office. You get a seal from the Public Records Officer or the keeper of the public records to say that yes, this document has been accepted because this is to do with the legal proceedings. You take a copy of that and then you submit it to the court.
Yeah. They'll send it before.
Yes, because you've got a case number. You've got a case number. You've got a registration from the court that there's a matter between John Smith v. the Queen or John Smith v. whoever else. Okay, so you've got a registration. You show that to the officer. Serena.
Where is the public records office?
Well, the Public Records Office is in the city, okay, within the parliamentary structure in the city, in the Department of Justice. Okay, you can actually look it up online. You put in Public Records Office and the keeper of public records, and it'll give you the details, the contact details. You should be able to even email it. So you put up your notice of defence, and attached to that is your affidavit, and then file it with the keeper of the public records. You get them to seal that document, take a copy of that, leave one copy with the record, the keeper of the records, and then file that with the court. No, it's not, because you then put it in the public. It's in the
public record.
It's on the public
record.
They have to deal with it. They can't just say, "Oh no, I'm not accepting that." "Oh no, no. I want you to stand there and orally say, no, hang on, no. Is this a court of record? Is this a court of record, or are we just here to play games?" Because as far as I'm concerned,
it's a star chamber, thank you.
Yeah, it's a star chamber. But we need them to, we have to show the proper process, because this is the problem that the police are having at the moment.
That's what he was saying before.
The police are discovering that they're putting affidavits forward that haven't been sworn properly. Now, when I read this act, the whole system's failing. They're not putting these documents on record. We need to be one step ahead of these people. We need to do this ourselves.
So what if the registers or the prosecutors have accepted it? Because I've been given the runaround from the Magic Book, because I asked them to put it into the evidence file.
Yeah.
Some of them will say, well, we don't have one, you've got to take it to the prosecutors. And then we'll take it to the prosecutors, and that's been fine. Is that okay if the courts don't accept it, or we just use that against the court?
Well, once we show the court that it's been accepted as a public record, and if they reject that, then we have a legitimate avenue of complaint against that officer of the court that's refusing to accept an already accepted record. Okay?
So because confusion, you can challenge it, they're not looking.
Yeah, well, it's all about following the proper due process. We have to show that the record, that this document is on the record, that we're prepared to put this on the record. Tony.
I used the Evidence Act 2008 very successfully last week.
Yeah.
And in 185 and 186 it talks about full faith and credit for dockets, properly